these are fancy.
Okay.
No kidding. Look at
As I
this.
promised, leading it off for us this weekend is Danica Patrick. She's going to be running in 2 races here this weekend. She's going to run tomorrow night, and she's going to be driving the number 7 Sega Sonic, the Hedgehog, GoDaddy.com Chevrolet in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And in the Sprint Cup Series on Sunday, she'll be running the number 10 GoDaddy Racing Chevrolet. So Danica has joined us, and she's joined us with our new crew chief, Tony Gibson. Tony, good to see you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And Danica, why don't you just lead us off and tell us about racing here at Texas Motor Speedway, a place
Sure.
you've been here several times.
Yeah, I was trying to think of how many times somebody was given ride and drives for Chevy yesterday in the middle of the day. Convertibles with my hair is just a really bad thing at about 120 around here. So they were saying it seems like you've been around here a few times, and I was thinking about how many. I think this would be maybe my 11th race here between the IndyCar and NASCAR stuff I've done. Always love coming to Texas. It's I would sort of describe it as my favorite style track. It's a lot of grip, banking, speed, and had pretty good success here over the years with whatever I've driven. So I think this is a great place to start with Tony. I think this is a nice way to kind of get towards the end of my Cup races this year, and hopefully we can have a good weekend.
Thank you, Danica. And Tony, talk about coming over to the number 10 team and getting a little bit of head start on next year, and I'm sure that's got to be a good deal to be able to get a little head start on that.
Yeah, it's good. It's the communication side of it, her hearing my voice on the radio and working with her and finding out this is one of her good tracks. I've done some research on it, and she really gets around here pretty good. So hopefully we won't screw it up. We can give her something good to drive today. But, it's to get any kind of time in is crucial, not only on the communication side, but as far as the balance of the race car. We have to learn. We don't want her to adapt to our setups. We want to adapt to her driving style. So these 2 races will be crucial in getting a head start on that. So over the wintertime, we can make plans and do some testing and get further on down the road. For us, we don't want to. She has the capability of winning races. She's a winner, so we don't have to teach her how to win. We just got to make sure that our race team is solid and can comfort her and give her the things she needs to win in the Cup Series.
Absolutely. Thank you. We'll take some questions now. If you have one, raise your hand. Try to limit yourself to one question. We'll start with Stan, and we'll go over here to Brian. Go ahead, Stan. Off to the right, Danica.
I'm down this way. Stan Creekmore with RPMtonight.com. Danica, Tony just said something that I think is extremely important, and I want to know what your history is. How often have the teams you've been with wanted to adapt to you versus you adapting to them, and how important is that to you?
It is a nice thing to hear. I think, that's something you hear from someone who's open and ready and smart and knows that every driver has a different style, and it's just a matter of how to maximize that. So, it's kind of music to my ears as a driver. So, I know that there's a lot for me to learn about these cars, and Tony's extremely smart. I already know that, and as well as everybody who works with him. So I have a lot to learn, but that's nice to hear, and I hopefully can convey exactly what it is that I need and be able to point them in the right direction. And what's really nice about working with each other these last couple races of the year is that every driver has a unique way of describing a car and how it feels. And when I say the car is, 2 out of 5 tight, that's not the same for anyone else. And so learning what that really means and how big a change you need to make to fix that is the kind of stuff that we're going to get a really good head start on now.
Let's go to Brian, and we'll come back over here to the left to Lee. Go ahead, Brian.
Brian Nilsson, Motor Racing Network. For Tony first, but I'd like to see if Danica can answer it as well. Why is this a good pairing for you two to work together?
Well, I just think the biggest thing is, Tony Jr. and Danica got along really well. And I've worked with Tony Jr., and we're great friends, and we worked together for several years at DEI. So I think marrying us together is a better fit. It's a really good fit. It's a good fit for my race team. We're old school redneck racers. We're the Tony Jr., Tony Sr. style of racers, and I think that fits Danica pretty good. So I think they've done a great job of, as a company at Stewart-Haas, putting the right people with Danica and her with us, because we're going to grow together. We're going to grow fast. There's going to be some bumps in the road. We know that. But my team is ready for that, and we're ready to grow, and we're excited about this new venture for us.
Go
I
over
think he hit it right on the head, to be
Go ahead.
honest. I mean, I agree. It's funny, I think of that too. I think about how well I got along with Tony Jr. and how, he is definitely a little more old school, and, just the personalities are just cool, laid back, get down to business, but still have fun. I mean, I think that's a great attitude to bring to the track every weekend, and I feel like it gets a really good team to rally around them, and it speaks volumes that the guys, stayed all together to come onto the 10 car, and I think that just shows what a great leader he is.
It was one of the things that I talked to Danica about earlier was, everybody on the 39 had an option of what they wanted to do as a team, and it took them like 30 seconds to answer back that they were on board and everybody was excited for it. So hopefully that's comforting to Danica, and just sends a message to her that we're behind her 110% and ready to move forward.
Let's go over here to Lee, and then we'll go to Jeff Gluck. Go ahead, Lee.
Lee Spencer, first for Tony, what happens first time you call her old man?
I don't know.
I've heard about this.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Hopefully, I'm sorry. If I do say that, I'm sorry. It just comes out for some odd reason. I don't know. I have no idea. Hopefully, she'll
In
forgive
what context do you use old man?
me. Pretty much, I don't know. It slips out. I don't really know why I say that. I've just, for years, it's just been what I say. I'm not sure where that came from, to be honest
I don't
with
mind. I don't mind.
But
Tony.
if I do say that, I'm sorry, and I don't mean it. I crew chief for Mark Martin, and everybody's like, man, that's really insulting to him. I'm like, I have no idea that I don't realize I'm saying it to him, and it was a big joke. And Eric Almirola, and I crew chief for Jello Jr., and it was the same way. So I don't know. It just comes out. So I'm probably going to say it a few times, but if I do, I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
Forgive me. But as long as we're successful, we can call each other what we want.
I don't
think.
really care what people call me. So, I mean, Tony Jr. would call me babe and things like
Yeah.
that on the radio, and he would apologize. I'm like, I really don't care what you call
Yeah.
me. I don't care if you pronounce my name wrong as long as it starts with a D.
Yeah, I was just gonna. I think I've called her D every time I've called her and
That's
talked to her on
right.
the phone. So I'll try to stick with just calling her D.
And for Danica, what would you say are the lessons that in the 3 years you've been here? What are the greatest lessons that you have learned? What do you still have to learn to really get, absolutely comfortable here?
I mean, for me, I've just transitioned through quite a bit over these years. It was just, coming every month or so into the car and doing a race and trying to get comfortable quickly after driving an Indy car for a while. And so, there was that transition for 2 years, and then this being the first full-time year, and then sort of sprinkling in some cup races. And then next year going full-time cup. I mean, it's a lot of transitions and a lot of changes, and a lot of things to get used to, whether it be new cars, new schedules, or new crew chiefs. It's just been, a lot to get used to. But I think that it's all helps me adapt quicker, and it helps me focus on being more specific with my words and being more poignant with what I want. And so there's been a lot that I've learned for sure, and I have a lot left to learn. And just understanding the cars and how they change from practice to the race, and then how they change throughout the race. I mean, those are things that are just so much more unique to NASCAR than they are to IndyCar, I feel. In IndyCar, you could set the car up in practice, and it would feel the same in qualifying and the race for the most part of, adapting some weather changes to the downforce levels so that they were equal. I mean, that was, you could calculate that. So there's a lot more transitions within the weekend itself in NASCAR, so getting used to that's been, something I'm still learning.
Let's go to Jeff Gluck, and then we'll go to Terry Blunt. Go ahead, Jeff, right there in the middle.
Jeff Gluck from SBNation.com. Tony, how will you know if things are moving in the right direction next year, and what will be your expectations for Danica to know that she's improving, and how will you judge it if not based on just purely results?
Well, there's no pressure on us. I think the communication that'll get better. It'll get smoother. Understanding when she's tight, like she said earlier, a 2 out of 5. We go through that every weekend. every driver I've ever had is different. Even, you know, Stewart and Newman are totally different. The offsets that we had to do for Newman versus Stewart are just on the other side of the spectrum. So just learning those things of what she needs going into qualifying trim as the races go on, how do we adjust, and you know, me learning her tone of her voice, you know, I can tell by a driver if his tone of his voice is getting higher and higher and higher, that it's pretty serious. So those things we're going to learn, and we're not, you know, she puts more pressure on herself to do good because the media puts pressure on her to do good. So, you know, for us, it's all about learning and growing together. We're not going to put like I told her, we're going to set small goals and achievable goals for us, you know, whether it's, you know, by the end of qualifying, practice be on the left side of the board, and then qualify 25th, and let's 23rd, 20th, 18th. Let's set goals that we can achieve together as a race team and grow together. I'm not putting any pressure on her or any set, we got to win a race or we got to run a top 5. So I'll judge everything off how we're getting along, how our team is building more than I am results.
Let's go Terry Blunt, and then we'll probably end with David, and then Nate. Nate will have the last question. Go ahead, Terry.
Tony, I wanted to ask you, I mean, you've been with Dale Jr., so you've been with a real, that's as high profile as it gets, obviously. You've been down this road before. Danica is obviously very high profile. There's no doing anything under the radar with them. I mean, will that help you that you were with Junior and you understand how being with somebody, everything you do is going to be scrutinized?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything in this business. I was with Bill Elliott for a while, too, and he was probably one of the biggest ones in the sport then. So it's difficult. It's different. But you still, at the end of the day, you still have to do your job. No matter who's driving the race car, you have a job to get done. And my job is to fit a race car and a setup for Danica's driving style, and that's what we're going to work hard on. And she is in the limelight all the time. You know, it's like last weekend, it's, you know, the deal with Landon Castle and all. It's like, man, I don't want her to lose that fire. That's the fire that you need. And I think, you know, there's been guys that have spun people out and done things like that when they're rookies and nobody talks about it. But, you know, being a female, you know, it gets blown out of proportion. So hope she keeps that fire and desire, and we'll work on the rest of the stuff.
Let's go with David Caravello, and we'll finish up with Nate Ryan. David's right up here in the, I guess that's lavender shirt. Purple.
David Caravello, NASCAR.com. Going back to what Tony said earlier, Danica, why are you so comfortable with old school, old redneck racers?
I don't know, right? Doesn't that seem funny? Like, I'm kind of fancy. I'm kind of fancy. I buy fancy things. I do, eat fancy restaurants, drink fancy wine. I don't know. I think it's, honestly,
Opposites attract.
Yeah. It's more fun, to be honest. It's just more fun. And I think back to being a kid and growing up and go-kart racing, and that sort of style is also why I love NASCAR. Just everything from the language to describe the car to the style of people and the camaraderie. It just reminds me of growing up and racing all over the East Coast and the South, and it's more normal to me probably than what I did for over 10 years with 7 years of IndyCar, and then from 16 to 19 being in England, and just that I guess I realized how European style IndyCar was when I came to NASCAR and went, oh my God, I remember the word tight. I used to use that and push. And just how everybody gets along and how much fun we have together, and kind of almost how much racing we do. I mean, in go-karts we would do 40, 50 races a year, and in NASCAR, obviously, we do a tremendous amount, and I think that it's just, I don't know, it's more normal to me than probably what I was doing. And from the first time I got into a car I remember I was at Orlando Speedway. It was the first time I drove stock car, and a couple of years ago, and pulled out of the pit area to go on the track, and I really felt, I was like, oh my God, what have I been doing? I feel like I'm at home. It felt comfortable, and it just felt like I was where I was supposed to be.
Final question, Nate Ryan.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. DC just took my question, Danica, about asking you about being a redneck, but I guess I'll ask.
Do I seem redneck at all?
No.
Oh, but I liked you. I liked you
See
in
my
that
belt buckle that I got?
in your video with Miranda Lambert.
You like that?
Yes.
She kicked butt last night, and so did her husband. My goodness.
Go ahead, Nate.
I'll ask you instead. Tony will be, I guess, your fourth crew chief since entering NASCAR. Do you have a better sense or appreciation about what you're looking for, what you need, and is it different from other series here, the type of leadership or style that you want to hear on the radio and setting up your car and anything like that?
I think that it's not necessarily a specific person as much as it is, their demeanor and their openness to listening and going down the paths that I go down sometimes in practice and being ready to just kind of adapt what I say to the car and trust me and want to be there. I think that might be one of the biggest things, is that when someone wants to be there, it just gives me confidence, it gives me comfort, and it just makes me feel better. No matter what I've been doing, I feel like that's one thing I've learned, is that the person has to want to be there. There's just so much racing and so much time together that if they don't, you just don't feel it. And I really get that feeling from Tony that he wanted to be here, and from his guys. And so I just think that it's like a perfect remedy for success moving forward.